Alec.
Hey, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you nicely. At Alec_Lewis. The X covers the Minnesota Vikings for The Athletic and theathletic.com. And you seem nice and chill and composed right now.
I am in a great mood.
Good.
It's finally warm. Your haircut looks great today. You're ready for the draft party.
Is that pomade?
It's forming cream.
No, it looks terrific.
It's a Veda forming cream.
I really walked in and I'm like, first of all, where are we? Because we're not in the normal studio.
Outside studio for a little bit.
And then second of all, the hair was really the first thing that I saw. So, no, I'm in a great mood. I'm ready.
Good.
We got like 36 hours until my mock draft history is over for a year.
Well, it's indeed almost over. Then you can rest. Just overall, how are you holding up through this entire process of, if any beat writer, if any person who covers a football team has more stories available within the last 10 days up to not only the draft, but a team's individual approach to said draft, I need to know who it is because the Athletic, the Vikings part of the Athletic situation, it's bountiful if you're looking for information.
If you think it's bountiful now, wait until we get to Sunday and you've got 9 more stories and I'm calling the offensive coordinator of the first round pick. No, it's like part of it, you could say it's the offseason, so you want to rest a little more, but I would be lying if I didn't say that part of the reason, you get into this job, I get to cover the NFL draft for a living. I do not take that for granted, and it's a blast. And I love, this about me, like I love looking at these players individually and thinking about fit. So, there's a lot of stories, and there will be a lot of more.
I did notice though when you were giving an example, you said you were going to call the offensive coordinator of the first round. Is that a tell there?
I could have just said,
be careful over the next 24 hours here, how you form things in a verbal way.
It's funny because there are times where you do things strategically and someone's like, oh, I picked up on that. And you're like, well, that was sharp by you. Then there are times where you don't do something strategically and it's like, I heard what you said there. It's like, I was just talking. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you and I believe you, for what it's worth. But, with, I read 3 of your stories last night, so I think I'm covenant caught up. And close your eyes as I compliment you or it'll get weird.
Yeah.
Is with
You're
one
very
of the
close to each other.
With one of these players, and you do this a lot, you're like, blah, 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 and so would have an in because the position coach at this university is either somebody with whom they worked, somebody they know, somebody who used to be a coach with the Vikings, and I really, really like things like that because that helps connect the proverbial dots, like those lay out the croutons to get us to that chef salad.
The dots of divinity?
I wouldn't go that far.
I think the most underrated or under talked about aspect of this time is the importance of for teams to have background information on these players. Like you guys know, and the people listening to this know, you hear Kevin O'Connell talk all the time about we want to find guys who love football. Well, what does that actually entail? It means having really factual information from the people who have been around these players to know how hard they're going to work, what their mental makeup is. And you guys, PA, you know this, offensively and defensively, these Viking schemes ask a lot of players mentally. You have to be a really smart player. So that takes a scouting question of, can this guy come in our systems and play multiple spots? And so if you have a coaching relationship on a specific staff, that helps answer that very pivotal question.
Okay, now, Alec at Twitter, via X, at Alec_Lewis. And when you go to that, you'll see that there is a story with the picture. The pick is in, the graphic. The pick is in. It's a gift article, which means you can get into that thing without being a subscriber to The Athletic.
They're giving those away like bubble gum these days.
Well, why are they doing that? Is it NY Times? I don't
have the business acumen to understand the internet media spectrum, but yeah, they're doing. Like John Krasinski. He's like ripping flames off of his pen on a Rudy Gobert story, and you can just get it for free. I don't know how that works, but all right.
So why is the Vikings core at a crossroads?
I just believe that this team, and this is not groundbreaking, like they have not added enough young talent in the past 4 seasons to be able to replenish and turn it over. It's why they've had to supplement the roster with so many free agents over the last 3 years. And that is, it can be a plentiful endeavor, and it can also result in the season that we just saw in 2025. And so as Justin Jefferson gets to 26, 27 years old, as Christian Darrisaw gets to 27 years old, and the Jonathan Grenards and the Brian O'Neills, they creep up to 30 and above 30, you really need that next wave of 22 to 24-year-olds to kind of supplement this roster, and they haven't been able to do that. This number for me was crazy. The Vikings roster has 61 players. 6 of them were drafted in the second, third, or fourth rounds combined. That is the lowest of any team in the NFL by like 10 players.
That's dope.
Meaning the meat of the draft every year has not produced, has produced far less for the Vikings than any other team in the NFL. And that needs to change this time around, and they know it.
Alec Lewis, The Athletic, theathletic.com. He'll be covering the draft from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And when we return, there's a specific mock that I want to go over some points with Alec, and we think you'll find that to be compelling and entertaining. At least he did with something with the way he reacted yesterday. That's Alec Lewis. I'm Paul Allen. Here's Nordo with the cash thing. Good morning.
Yeah, the fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword is grand. You can enter that in at KFAN.com. The keyword is grand, and the website, KFAN.com.
KFAN.
All right, that mock on which you reacted with a super cute emoji via X.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's some beat writer consensus mock.
Oh, that popped up on your For You feed?
Yeah, and how is Hayden Winks? and who is Hayden Winks?
And how is Hayden Winks?
And why is everybody all over him?
No, he works for Underdog.
Okay.
One of those companies that there are many of them. Mm-hmm. And they probably sponsor the station, and I probably shouldn't say something crazy.
That'd be Prize Picks.
Okay, good to know.
So we'll stay away from Prize Picks.
So he works for Underdog. He did like a...
Oh, no, wait. Tend to be Underdog. Yeah. Underdog's the bomb, and I'm being honest.
He did a first round... Nice. Way to catch yourself there.
I like Underdog a lot.
And I use Prize Picks. It's sweet.
He did a first round mock draft that was... He's like, this is what every beat writer is saying, and this is how it would go according to every beat writer. And my mock draft did not have Dylan Thieneman, so I put that little emoji.
Well, what was
but I'm not the only beat writer,
what
so it
was
kind
the
of
emoji? Oh, it was Of course, that's what it was. Yeah. Hayden Winks, though. So the beat writer consensus: Dylan Thieneman to Minnesota. No shock there. Kenyon Sadiq. That
was my pick.
At The Athletic, Alec, as we mentioned earlier, completed a 7-round Minnesota Vikings. Well, he's done several, but a 7-round Minnesota Vikings mock draft, and that's the finale. And it was Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, at 18. It's not my business whether it's steamy, whether you've been told that, or whether you're riding discernment. The only issue I would take with that is, and this is draft season, man, so people formulate these grandiose opinions, and they want to be right. I just can't see him getting by Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's Baltimore or whether, like, you could even see, the Saints want a receiver. So the Saints could even trade back. The Jets at 16, they just drafted Mason Taylor, the tight end, a year or two ago, but even I've heard the Mason Taylor, I think it's Jason Taylor's son, but the Jets is a team. I was having a conversation yesterday, and it's like, could they be?
Well, how is Mike Tannenbaum?
It was not. It was like, could they be in the realm of Kenyon Sadiq? So
I haven't seen Darren Muji since he was with the Broncos. Holy cow!
So the Darren Muji played college football with Kevin O'Connell at San Diego State.
Yeah, that might be his best friend.
So I don't know if it's his best friend.
One of them.
But I would say Kenyon Sadiq getting to 18. It's a question mark. I mean, the Rams too. Would they take another tight end? I don't really know, but they've leaned. The Rams are, I would say, in the conversations I've had, they are a wild card.
Well,
in this
how is
thing.
Georgia Frontiere?
Stan Kroenke's doing great. But the Rams, if the Rams trade up, I'm not going to be surprised. If they trade back, I'm not going to be surprised. If they take Ty Simpson, I'm not going to be surprised. Just, I've heard a lot of stuff with them that it's all over the place. So, yeah, for me, Kenyon Sadiq just made sense with the odds of potentially getting to 18.
Yep.
And the belief that I have that in the first round, you want to find a blue chip player. And in this draft, there aren't more than 12 of those guys.
12.
And Kenyon Sadiq could be one of them.
Okay.
So,
well, so could Jordan Tyson. And in the beat writer consensus, the New Orleans Saints at 8, the beat writer consensus from down Bayou way has ASU's Jordan Tyson going there, bad hammy and all. Here's a new take involving the Vikings. I just want to run it by you. And this is not like in a quest because everything's so regurgitated at this time of the equation. This actually just hit me because with Jordan Addison, you got that 5th-year option. Okay, you got Jefferson. We know all the tricks. But if they, for whatever the reason, love Jordan Tyson, the Minnesota Vikings, because he plays in a way that I think is very, very Kevin O'Connell-esque, and you got Jefferson and Addison who can get over the top, not like Tyson can't get over the top, but I would look at him as having more A.J. Brown to him from the line of scrimmage to like 20, 25 yards, just a beast, specifically in the red zone. And Tyler Williams, the head of the training department, sports performance and all that, well, they very much trust him and his staff and how they handle injured players. Think about free agency last year, and they brought in a bunch of guys off problems. Fries played every game, Hargrave, Allen, so on and so on. The point being, if Tyson is available at 18, would you rule it out?
no, I mean, I first of all, I don't think there's any chance that specific player gets to 18. Now,
even with the hamstring bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about his durability, his physicality, all of that stuff. Like you hear those questions, but he is like a player who a comp that I got for him was Keenan Allen, which is really high praise. Like Jordan Tyson is
Keenan Allen's a better comparison than I made with A.J. Brown.
He's a very smooth mover type of guy. But to your initial question, it's hard for me to rule out receiver. It's hard for me to rule out a lot of positions. And I've written this and I've said this, but I've had a harder time this specific draft cycle pinning down the specific positions that they're targeting because I feel like the approach is just different in many ways. Like they are more willing. First of all, they have a lot of needs. Second of all, they're just willing to best available is cliche and it's kind of silly, but like they are more open, I think, than they've been. So I'm not going to be surprised if a receiver that they love falls to 18 and if that's the best player available and they can't trade back, that's not going to shock me.
And see, here's the what you said about the blue players is what they call them in the business, the blue chip players. You said the number 12. Now, the people with whom I chat, and they are not local, and this started at the Combine. I mean, I've been told 5.
Yeah.
I've been told this Arvell Reese, started hearing about him at the Combine, couldn't pick him out of a 2-person lineup standing next to Chris Spielman, but everybody's talking about him. And then now you start to learn some position flexibility in Micah Parsons-like fashion that he has. So I was told he was a blue chipper before, I'd ever heard of him. But there are 4, maybe 5 is what the consensus I'm getting from outside of this area. 12, I think, is a high number. But with Caleb Banks, the interior defensive lineman from Florida, the big guy with the bad feet, and Jordan Tyson with the hamstring and then some previous stuff. If you take those guys and see, they're not blue chippers. They're not considered blue chippers because of the injuries, right?
I mean, I think,
but if you take them and it works, you found blue. You found a sea of blue that everybody was afraid of.
Yeah, with both of those players, Tyson and Banks, 2 different players. But if you just watch the film of those guys, they are blue chip caliber players.
Got it.
To your point, the injury risk with both of them, much more so Caleb Banks because he's 6'6", 330 and he's had feet problems. Like that's one that would raise a major question. And I just don't believe the Vikings, with the importance of this draft and it's critical that they come away with starters. I don't believe they're going to be willing to take that level of risk at number 18. I'll let Nordo get to a question, but the Caleb Banks one in defensive tackle in general, like, I think we should be talking more about that situation. This draft is really poor at that position at a time where this team desperately could use a big time addition at that position.
Why do you say it's poor? Like, and this is again what I'm being told. It may be different than what you're being told. Caden McDonald from Ohio State. Okay, he's a 2-down player, so he's not going to play on 3rd down mostly. Big people get tired, but his run stopping works. So it's. I'm not going to say it's poor on the interior. I'm just going to say that there are a bevy of players who don't do like 3 things as well as coaches want. But there are players, like, if you hit on Banks, you're going to get the whole thing. With Woods and the Cincinnati guy, you're going to get things from them. Dante Corleone. You're going to get things from them that are specific to what you want to do. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is 2 years ago when the Vikings took Dallas Turner at 17, the player the Seahawks took right in front of them was Byron Murphy II at 16. And the Vikings absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
And he was a 3-down player. And if he was in this specific draft, and the Vikings, in my opinion, would trade up to 13, and it's a no-brainer.
Well, he's a top 7 guy in this draft.
Yes, he is. There's just not a player like him. And there are very few of these guys walking the earth because it's a really hard position to be a 3-down defensive tackle who can stop the run and rush the passer.
Yep.
But that is a big need for this team right now. And a guy like Caden McDonald, he doesn't have that full range and ability. Now, if he's available and they trade back and it's 28 and they pick him, I'm not going to be that surprised by that either.
Right.
How much do you think teams focus on what they already have invested in positions? Because you were talking about wide receiver and Jordan Tyson, and if they absolutely love him, then they should take him, right? But then the idea is, well, I got 3 guys in my wide receiver room that are high-end first-round draft equity picks, and maybe the dominoes that fall beyond that. You know, we were doing this 5 for 18 that turned into a 7 for 18 and could be a freaking 15 for 18 with the way this thing's playing out. But wide receiver for me has never even been a part of the conversation as it pertains specifically to Thursday. I think we need a guy, and maybe it's a guy this weekend in combination with like a Juwan Jennings if his number ever comes down, that type of thing. But it's never been a conversation topic for me on Thursdays just because of the equity invested into a singular position.
Well, I would say part of it is, like, you got to ask the question, what is the identity of your team? You guys and the people listening to this know the identity of this team is the passing game. And with Jordan Addison's history, you got to have as much juice and insurance as possible in that room. And so if there is a receiver who falls to 18 that they love, like, it's because of your identity, it's probably worth at least having the conversation. Now, I will say this. Part of the reason I had Kenyon Sadiq at 18 is because I feel like he marries a lot of worlds together. He can be that type of receiver option. He also can be a huge element in your running game. He can be really dynamic for you as like a, you get him the ball in space. Think about all of the bootlegs we've seen over the years. To have a guy with 4.3 speed catching the ball and running vertically as opposed to a Johnny Munt, who I love, but didn't have 4.3 speed, like that is really enticing. And I've said this and I've reported it. If they go defense at 18, I'm strong and opinionated that there will very much be a receiver in play for them at 49 that they covet. So at some point in that early range, that position will just be in the crosshairs, in my opinion.
You mentioned whether it's Sadiq at 18, they go defense, and how that potentially impacts Friday. Specifically now, I guess I'm focusing too much on the wide receivers here. Do we suffer from a lack of quality run blocking among our wide receivers? Like PA, I mentioned Juwan, like the idea of getting some toughness in that room and a physical nature. I mean, how we use the running game, we can get to the O-line conversation at some point too. I just think about, and it's not sexy. Like we drafted Laquan Treadwell in 2016. The only thing he was really high end at was actually run blocking. That was like the first thing people mentioned about a guy. It's like, hey, we kind of need him to catch passes too. Now we got the pass catching. In the efforts of improving our run game, is run blocking, you think, something that they're paying attention to in terms of evaluating these guys?
No question. And the really cool thing about Justin and Jordan Addison is they are willing. Like, they are willing. That's just never going to be where you want them to live at all times. And the tangentially related conversation is offenses more than ever want to have body types that can produce multiple pictures to the defense. And what the Vikings, they've kind of been pigeonholed where they are an 11 personnel team. Like, that is just what they are. They can get into 12, but it doesn't dictate a ton to the defense because TJ Hawkinson is not a road grader tight end.
And for those who don't understand 11 or 12, like 11 would be one tight end, one running back. 12 would be two tight ends, one running back.
That's a good explanation, and I probably under the assumption that everyone is into the nitty gritty. But I think
you live by the dog, you die by the dog.
But I teams more than ever are getting into these bigger personnel looks to try to give defenses different pictures, and that would be part of the Kenyon Sadiq, I would say. Or the intrigue with a guy like him would be it would provide a level of versatility. You have him on the field, you can be like a 21 personnel where he's almost like a fullback type of player. So I think regardless, to your point, Nordo, initially, they know that they need to improve from a blocking standpoint on the edge. The other thing that they don't have is a player who can insert from a receiver perspective, like the Rams do with Puka Nacua and did with Cooper Kupp forever. And that stuff can help in the run game and produce even more play action.
Just go in and crash a guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like what Cooper Kupp, when he was healthy, did 10 of 10 better than anybody.
Yes. And so, again, whether it's Sadiq in the first round, a guy like a name I've heard a lot if they take defense in the first round at receiver would be Dejon Stribling from Ole Miss. Big body guy who, I don't know if he's going to get to 49, but he's a name.
Let's go Rebs.
I think big body receiver and safety-ish type DB, those are no-brainers for me that they come out of this draft.
To land the plane on the beat writer consensus, controversial as it was with the emoji, there was no quarterback Ty Simpson in the first round with what was the guy's name? Dylan
Hayden
Hinges?
Winks.
I thought it was Dylan Hinges. Hayden Winks. Okay. So with Ty Simpson, the young man just turned down $6.5 million to play quarterback for the Canes.
Pretty crazy.
What do you think of that decision?
I mean, I would have to
$6.5 million.
I would have to imagine he has some guarantee of where he's going to go and why. Like
Carson Beck's like, I only got 3.5. What's going on here?
I mean, I watched Ty. I'm an Alabama guy. I watched Ty Simpson play a lot of ball, and there were some really good moments, and down the stretch there were also some really poor moments. So, I mean, a guy of his stature, and a guy of his inexperience, you're rolling the dice if you're an NFL team. But you look at a team like Arizona, the only quarterbacks they have are Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew, and Jacoby Brissett wants a new contract for some reason or another. So I'm not going to be shocked if, like, at number 33, it's Ty Simpson.
I remember when Malik Willis was drafted, there was conversations that the Liberty kid at some point might be like top 15 pick. I think he ends up going mid-third round. And I understand that the position will automatically, because of its importance, will push beyond just the talent and evaluation. That becomes, in a best player available draft, that's a position of need. But if Ty Simpson, the way that you've discussed and the way that I've read him up, like, it feels like a lot of Thursday conversation that leads to late Friday, actual realization as it pertains to him. Because the Jets, beyond it, they need a QB. But man, they need so many things across the board. They got a couple of picks, and it wouldn't shock me if in the end he's somebody that Sauce and I are sitting here at like 10 p.m. talking to. Hey, Ty Simpson's still available for a team in the late third.
See, but the Jets are going to be bad again this year, and they know it, and they also know that there are 5 to 7 quarterbacks who
big draft next year
are going to go really, really high next year, and they're going to want one of them. So I if they don't take Ty Simpson, I wouldn't be surprised. The name Carson Beck emerged here 9 to noon with Alec Lewis, Nordo by my side. He's a quarterback from the University of Miami, and he played at Georgia, then he went to Miami. When it comes to like the miscellaneous, like the off-field stories with Carson Beck, do you know any? Like I didn't, and I'm going to read you something here that I found. It's not like it's going to be part of the draft show tomorrow night. It
might come up.
It's just funny. But do you know anything about him?
I want to hear what you're about to read.
Like what he did with his NIL money?
Didn't he buy a Lamborghini?
Here it is.
I think it was stolen.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
How did I not know that? He bought a Lamborghini. I think it's Urus Performante. A Lamborghini Urus Performante.
I was just looking at one of those the other day.
Right.
I was more of a Diablo guy myself.
He did that with his NIL earnings. And it was stolen 2.5 weeks after he bought it. And they never found it. But he previously dated former Miami basketball and social media influencer Hannah Cavender, whose twin sister Haley is engaged to Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson.
You love this.
Hey, can you slow down a bit so I can write down all this stuff?
The relationship was a factor in his transfer to Miami, and their breakup made headlines.
Oof.
Oh, by the way, his sister Kylie was a Georgia cheerleader.
I don't think this was in the Beast.
He took his NIL money and spent it wisely. He bought a Lamborghini.
So they couldn't find. So 2 weeks. I mean, I don't even understand.
They never found the Lamborghini.
How would you even proceed in life if you bought a Lamborghini and it got stolen? Like if my Hyundai Elantra got stolen, I would be freaking out.
Crazy. Hey, with media availability a couple of days ago at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, are you sensing Justin Jefferson is excited to play with Kyler Murray?
Yeah, absolutely, no question. But I mean, I there were some. I saw on social media, like, people taking a lot out of Justin's comments. As always with Justin, like, I thought he was very smart and very sharp. And, he sounded a lot like Kevin O'Connell, where he's like, we want to push the room. We want to light the spark. We want that position to lift the tide for our entire team. And so, yeah, I know that Justin Jefferson was really interested by the idea of Kyler Murray. No question. But I also know Justin has supported J.J. McCarthy privately and publicly from the beginning. So, I mean, I thought it was cool. I thought it was good that Justin, talked. I think it speaks a lot for him. He doesn't have to be here on the voluntary workouts. And he definitely doesn't have to talk to the media. So
T-Wolves are in the playoffs. They got a home game coming up.
That's probably true. He's not going to go see Boldy and the boys. But I would say Justin, Justin's really like become the face of the franchise leader, and
big time.
He owns that role, and so I think he will manage this thing well.
With the now one of Alec's several options for you at The Athletic, theathletic.com to absorb Minnesota Vikings draft content.
This Lamborghini Aventador is unfree. 759 horsepower. What are you going to do with that on the city
streets? What's that thing cost?
It's about $500,000.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So he took, that NIL money is no joke.
That Q2 bonus comes through for me.
So with Alec, one of the stories, there are myriad options for the Vikings at 18, second round, third round, all the way through the seventh. Very enjoyable to read. With this comprehensive piece involving said options at all draft spots, this Wake Forest running back, Damon Claiborne, I don't know if it's the way you wrote it, and you're like saying he may be the next Jahmyr Gibbs or Devon Achane. No, you didn't say it. No, you. It was the seventh round or Saturday type draft pick.
I'm telling you, I've heard people say
he ain't going Saturday if he's 60% Jahmyr Gibbs.
There's a lot of, I think, stuff with him. I'm just going to say that very generally. There's a lot of stuff with him. But, I mean, I turned on the tape because I am insane of Wake Forest, Georgia Tech.
He's electric.
And
I'd never heard of him. I went to the YouTube machine for some highlights. Damon Claiborne is an electric football player.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of, I said this on my podcast yesterday. Think about the idea of a backfield of Kyler Murray and Damon Claiborne, this guy who runs a 4-2 with Kenyon Sadiq, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison and Josh Oliver. I mean, if you're a defense, I mean, it is not easy to defend that level of juice. And if you're Kevin O'Connell, you're walking out to the practice field in your on-cloud shoes, feeling real good about what's possible.
High red and low red.
So there is like a world in which on Sunday, I'm looking at this offense and this roster, and you're like, man, this could be quite exciting. I really do think there's a world. The thing with Damon Claiborne, and I have heard people within the NFL who are work and get paid by teams say to me that he is like Diet Coke, Devon Achane / Jahmyr Gibbs. It's just there's a lot of stuff with him. So
all right,
we'll
now
see.
in this mock, your final mock for the Vikings, Alec likes the Alabama center in the 5th round of the Minnesota Vikings.
The center one is tough. I mean, obviously the Vikings need one, and there are a lot of options, whether it's Iowa's Logan Jones or Kansas State's Sam Heck, Florida's Jake Slaughter. I'll be quite honest with you guys. Like, I have not been able to pin down which guy they prefer and why. So,
and they're all kind of the same, aren't they?
I mean, it's really the way I describe it is like you walk into the frozen pizza aisle and you know what you're working with. Mm-hmm. It's just which one do you prefer? Everyone has their own preference of frozen pizza. And that's really what the center class is. Logan Jones, smaller guy, fires off the line of scrimmage. Jake Slaughter, bigger guy, really smart, doesn't move as well. So it's really a pick your flavor type of situation from the center spot, and I expect them to pick one.
When Dane Brugler unleashed the beast, did you read the whole thing?
No.
Well, you get excited for the beast, specifically when it's unleashed.
2,700 prospects.
I was talking to one of our higher staffers the other day, and it's like, it's really crazy. You get to Dane.
Well, how is Dan Pompei?
Yes. You get to like number 27th ranked safety, and he's like, you know, he's got the whole profile of who they are, and it's like, should be a good backup safety. And you're like, well, I don't want that. Like, why am I reading about a backup safety?
Well, he's got a takeaway for every single one. The app interface. Oh, I spent, when we brought that up the last time you were in studio, I spent like an hour after the show just perusing that.
It's crazy. Like, but my question would be like, does Mike Charlatan watch all of these guys? Or like, I don't know.
Well, he's with the Viking staff.
He's the director of college scouting.
There we go. Of course they watch all of them.
You think, like, that's my question is like,
I mean, at least like one YouTube highlight.
I should just ask Mike, but it's like, do you watch 450 guys like Dane? That seems crazy. So,
lastly, are you gravy training a media pass for Saturday's Wolves game to transcribe Bones Highland quotes for Johnny Athletic?
I really should, but no, I'm locked in on this weekend for the draft. Yeah, this is going to be
It's in the evening. The game's in the evening.
It's going to be too busy. I've got.
So MD came down on you. Too much draft, not enough me.
No, we're doing not yet. We're going to be doing. I mean, nightly stories, instant reaction, best available the next day. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then I know we probably shouldn't talk about it now, but like come Monday, all right, now it's the GM search. So, I mean, that's it, like it's go time for that. Wow. What's going to happen?
So there's going to be a search.
I mean, whether however they go about it. I've had calls this week with agents in the coaching space. Wow. You talk about this guy, talk about this. So it's like this thing is not slowing down, I'd say, for the next few weeks, which is totally good because if you love it, then you're all in.
I think with you and John Krasinski on Friday, it would be great if the tail wagged the dog.
Yeah.
He comes to the facility and transcribes the Caden McDonald press conference for you.
Yeah, I'll have John come and talk to Mike Charlatan about pick number 234, and I'll go watch Rudy Gobert swat Nikola Jokic in the heat of battle.
And then Jaden McDaniels will savage everything that is Denver Nuggets defense and go all the way back to Alex English.
And then Russo can come right about the UDFAs while I go cover Foligno and the boys.
And have Dan Hayes do a feature on Matt Boldy. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. The work you put into this, seriously, we joke around a lot. Excellent work.
Thank you.
You can read it at The Athletic and theathletic.com. Start at Alec_Lewis. Mm-hmm. And you'll also learn about the Alec Lewis Show podcast there. We thank Alec for his inclusion. Expect to hear him 9 to noon on Friday as we analyze what the Vikings and others did in round number 1. Back after this.
Welcome back. It's News to Nord, and News to Nord is always brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com.
Beef.
feeling the felt, poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. And, of course, live racing. That's going to be late May. But Derby Day.
May 23rd.
What's Derby Day? Just 2 or 3 weeks away?
First Saturday in May feels like the second.
Big hats and mint juleps. It's always a party. It's a blast. It's my favorite spot, whether I'm going to feel the felt and bet on some races, bring my kids. Ultimate family destination in Shakopee. It's Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. 5-3, the final in New York. The Mets have lost their 12th straight.
How about that?
And this one is to the hands of the Minnesota Twins. Simeon Woods Richardson did his thing on the mound yesterday. They did get him for 3, but at least he got into the 6th inning. It was Banda, Topa, and Sands on the back end to shut him out for the final.
Just listen to those names.
But you did get some offense. Early on in the third, it was Lindor with a 3-run home run that provided all the runs, but then it was Buxton with a 2-run shot. Luke Keeschel with a RBI single. Keeschel again in the 9th.
Wow.
As they ran things up to take the lead. And then it was Matt Wallner with a walk. I believe both bases were loaded to walk in another run. So a little bit of offense. You wanted to see more of the bat from Buxton. You got some of that yesterday. You wanted to see Luke Keeschel have a pulse. He did. 2 RBI efforts from him. And the Twins win 5-3.
The pitcher who went for the Mets is one of the most ballyhooed youngsters in Major League Baseball.
The McLean cat?
Yep, Nolan McLean or McLean. But he had been lights out with the strikeouts to the walks, and he's very, very big-time hyped. So to win a game period is outstanding. On the road against that guy, well done.
Yeah, and by all accounts, I mean, he, despite giving up the 3 runs, 10 Ks, went 6 2/3. McLean did.
Did he?
So, a fair outing for the youngster. They gave him all the shot that he could take, and the Twins came out on the right side of it. We dig that. You had head coach John Hines on to begin the 9 to noon show today.
Hinesy.
And sadly, I don't believe we got an update on this guy. Wow, that was a dramatic pause. Let's try this again in the different studio.
Great fortune.
Trenyon drops it back on a regroup. Middleton of Bogosian. Now Trenyon hit hard at center. And a fight may be coming here. Blackwell wants it. Trenyon is hurt. Marcus Foligno didn't like it. The neutral zone pass. Trenyon took it, and Blackwell cleaned him up. John Worley racing out to look at Yakov Trenyon.
Yeah, we're kind of sweating. It's a little bit later puck drop, as is usual in the postseason. 8:30 p.m. is the listed start time. Puck drop more likely closer to 8:50-ish. It's Game 3. It's at Grand Casino Arena tonight, and the team will be skating. We're all going to be just scrambling to our phones to open up X and search at Russo Hockey or at Joe Smith NHL and get the trio-related updates in terms of what's up with Zuki. There was some video, and then I think Hines himself confirmed that Matt Zuccarello, suffered an injury when he was elbowed by Tyler Myers in Game 1. Went through the skate, couldn't go Game 2. We're aware of that, how that impacted things. And then Trenyon with that massive hit from Blackwell in Game 2. He left the ice and didn't return. We don't have updates on either one of those, but we're all patiently awaiting one. But terrific conversation with John Hines to kick off the 9 to noon show.
I'm going to make a prediction as not as much an outside hockey guy as I like people to think. The Montreal Canadiens are going to win a Stanley Cup within the next 3 years.
Ooh.
If they can keep Caulfield, Suzuki, and some of those other players I watched last night, wow, holy cow. Is this the youthful nature of this team fun to watch? Secondly, Sky Uma, Logan Cooley. Another cool team to watch, the Utah Mammoth. I liked them to beat the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 1. Played them tooth and nail, took the L. In Vegas at T-Mobile last night, they won 3-2. Logan Cooley, former Gopher, scored a goal, and I think he might have had an assist or either just a goal. But this with Clayton Keller and Logan Cooley and some other guys, some veterans with this team, I really like the Utah Mammoth. Just a cool squad.
Yeah, it was cool. Sadly, the Sabres kind of came back to earth last night as the Bruins got out to a 4-0 lead before the Sabres added a couple on the back end. You mentioned the Canadiens. Now, they did lose last night. They lost in OT.
Yep.
But it took everything. A wonky goal, Kucherov behind the back of the net, and then they find their way to tie it, force OT, and get the tally in the first overtime. But the Canadiens jump you, man, and they are young, and they couldn't get it done last night, but to get the first one in Tampa Bay, Tampa just, at times, man, I don't know. I don't watch enough Lightning games to say it, but it just feels like that spark, that magic that led them to cups, man, it might be done for them. The 20-minute there, I think it was in the Avs-Kings game last night. There was like a 20-minute delay for a massive glass piece behind the bench shattering.
Who won that game?
So that thing got weird, but the Avs came up. They're up 2-0 now. It was a 2-1 victory.
Was it? So a couple of 2-1 dubs.
Yeah, indeed. So just kind of
that was not a great first round matchup for Colorado because the Kings with Kopitar and Doughty. Drew Doughty is still so smart and good on the blue line. And in the first game, they didn't even start Darcy Kemper.
Yeah.
They started the other guy. But man, the Kings have played the Avalanche really, really tough.
And we're going to be hoping for a very, you know what could help the Minnesota Wild tonight? How about the Penguins and Flyers don't go like 3 hours, okay? So it's Penguins and Flyers game 3. Philly found their way to both wins in Pittsburgh in that battle for Pennsylvania. That's the 6 p.m. puck drop. And then it's Ducks and Oilers on the back end. That's game 2. Edmonton took game 1. So some fun games to watch this evening in the NHL. Now on the NBA side, PA, did you see Wemby got that concussion?
Yep, big stuff.
Yeah, the Rockets appear to be completely dead. Durant came back and they still lost game 2 to the Lakers. But Wemby, a concussion, not able to return to that game. Portland ties up the series. It just kind of felt like, hey, Spurs are going to move on. They might mess around and Blazers will get a game. But with this Wemby thing, his health will probably dictate the outcome of that series. And just something to watch as we're just chilling tonight, at least on the hoop side, waiting for game 4 tomorrow night.
And this is, this is not some unique opinion. Ain't nobody beating OKC. So we're going to enjoy the games. We're going to do the very best we can to get to the NBA or the Western Conference Finals. I just don't see it happening. They are such a push button team. They kill you when they want to kill you, and when they're slightly off, they win by 8.
Yeah.
Now the Tiago Splitter, I believe that's the replacement coach for Chauncey Billups and that gambling L early in the season.
Splitter had kind of a long career too, didn't he?
I don't know if it was long, but yeah, he played in the NBA. He put Drew Holiday on Wemby. So it was brilliant because big guys like that don't like little guys swatting at them. And Drew Holiday still is one of the better defenders in the NBA. It bugged the bleep out of Wemby, at least in the parts I watched before he left concussed.
That's News to Nord, brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com for all event details.
Back to the NFL draft, John Harris with FootballTakeover.com. Elite drafting mind, not only with accuracy, but information. He's also the Ben Lieber for the Houston Texans. He's the sideline analyst for the Texans Radio Network. Let's chat with John about the Vikings and some other draft-related scenarios when we return to FM 100.3 KFAN.